how confident can we be actually that this project will be on time, on budget, and that the government will help us? Because we always get moaned at about the people from the north. They always moan, "Oh, London gets more grant than anyone else," but we actually end up paying a lot of it ourselves. The Crossrail was a prime example, but you know, with all due respect, Mr. Mayor, you haven't, well, where we come from, you haven't got a very good record of doing it on time and on budget. How can we be confident that you will do that, please?
Well, it's really important we learn the lessons of previous projects in London, those that have been incredibly successful and those where there have been issues. Let's not pretend there haven't been issues. Many of these projects take many, many years. You know, I remember being a baby minister when the Crossrail project first began. I was really pleased to cut the ribbon with that a few years ago. Transformative for our city. The Northern Line extension, the Superloop, Barking Riverside, which serves East London as well. TfL have been working on this for some time, as he knows. One of the reasons why we were keen to get this over the line is we've done the heavy lifting in relation to the advanced work. We think we can get going in earnest early next year in terms of the work required. Various powers we need, which will start going on early next year, and I think we can start construction certainly within this mayoral term.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, are there any other members who wish to contribute? Assembly Member Boff.
I'm sure you'd extend your thanks to your predecessor for authorising the Barking Riverside extension, which you seem to have claimed responsibility for.
I'm really pleased to have worked closely with the teams that worked with the previous mayors, both Boris Johnson and Ken Livingstone, both of whom deserve huge credit for talking up our city. And the point that Keith Prince made about people in other parts of the country wrongly assume London gets everything, and both Boris Johnson and Ken Livingstone did an incredibly good job in a non-patronising way explaining to the country why when London succeeds, the country succeeds, and vice versa. And I hope he would, in a generous way, suggest that I've also tried to do the same.
Thank you for that. We're now moving to questions to the Mayor in terms of the main part of our agenda and the priority order paper. Each group is allocated amount of time to ask their questions that's proportionate to the size of their group. The first written question is titled Your Mayoralty from Assembly Member Wilson.
Can I thank the member for his question? I promise to be mayor for all Londoners, building a fairer, safer, greener and more prosperous London for everyone. As part of that, I'm proud of what we've achieved at the GLA in delivering value for money since I was first elected. At times, I've had to take difficult decisions and find huge savings, in a large part because of previous governments made an absolute mess of our economy and public services. They cut significant funding to the Met Police, London Fire Brigade and Transport for London. Since I became mayor, for the first time in its history, Transport for London has been reducing its deficit year on year, and in 2023-2024, TfL delivered its first ever operating surplus of £138 million, which was used to fund essential investment. The work TfL have done under my mayoralty means it has delivered more than £1.8 billion in recurring savings since 2016. The Mayor's Office for Policing and Crime and the Met have delivered savings totalling over £1.2 billion. This included savings through commercial activities, greater use of technology and the delivery of efficiency savings. Some members will be aware the previous government cut Met funding by £1.1 billion in real terms since 2010. Years of funding cuts from the government means London Fire Brigade is receiving £150 million less funding this year in real terms compared to 2010. In the latest inspection report, the HMI have rated LFB to be good in both making best use of resources and making the fire and rescue service affordable now and in the future. Each year, the GLA carries out a rigorous review of expenditure for the year ahead to ensure that this expenditure does not exceed the income available. Each year, I've been able to set a balanced budget for the GLA group. These balanced budgets have been set against a backdrop of falling income. This has been managed through an annual decision-making process that ensures the GLA spending is focused on my priorities as mayor. I've also established other cost-saving measures, including the GLA Group Collaboration Programme, to ensure the GLA Group realises the maximum benefits obtainable from collaboration. The consultation budget will be published in December and will set out the total amount of savings and efficiencies that have been proposed by the GLA and other functional bodies for next year's budget. And my proposals will then be set out in my draft group budget, which will follow in January.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor, and good morning and to yourself and colleagues here today. So, before last year's elections, You promised there would be a moment of maximum opportunity for Londoners, for there's the prospect of not just a Labour mayor, but of a Labour government working together, and that together with the Labour government there's no limit to what we can achieve. But since then we've seen no funding for the Bakerloo extension, smoke and mirrors over the DLR extension, delays to crucial hospital projects including Whipps Cross, Epsom and St Helier, Hillingdon, St Mary's and Charing Cross, the local government so-called fair funding review, which is going to cripple some of London's borough's finances, and of course the current uncertainty over various funding streams for your own budget here in City Hall, integrated settlement, business rates reform and any replacement to the UK SPF. Do you regret giving the impression last year, Mr Mayor, that London would be a land of milk and honey if only we had a Labour government?
Well, let's do with the various points raised by the member. Firstly, a lot of the problems we have as a city and as a country is because of the hard Brexit, which he campaigned for so proudly and so happily. Secondly, I'll give him some examples of the benefits we've obtained since the government changed last July. In the previous year, the amount of capital money we received from the government for TfL capital money was £250 million. That was doubled in the first year of this government, and we've now got a multi-year deal for the first time in more than 10 years, which is north of £2 billion. We've also had the great news, not just in terms of the DLR extension, but further support from TfL, and there'll be more announcement over the course of the next couple of weeks, I would hope. In relation to policing, really important, we've had the biggest increase in national international capital cities grant from a central government in more than 10 years, an increase of more than 30% to the tune of £63 million towards the Metropolitan Police Service. We've had £11.7 billion from the government for affordable and social housing over the course of the next 10 years, and a further injection of £322 million towards a City Hall Development Investment Fund. Sadly, no money coming from the previous government in year. He wants examples of wins from the government, yet he's cutting me short. What is he scared of hearing?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. If we can come back specifically, I mean, we knew about Brexit. You mentioned Brexit. We knew about Brexit long time before last year's election. So I don't see why that's a relevant consideration in what's happened since, which is the disastrous record of Labour's first budget. Tax hikes on businesses and jobs, unemployment up every month since then, and Lord knows what damage the second budget will do next week. But coming specifically back to London and looking for savings next year, and I think it would be nice if we could work collegiately. You may remember that last year I tried to table a budget amendment. Obviously, it wasn't a group then, couldn't get a seconder. I asked if you'd encourage anyone to help, and you famously said that you would never encourage anyone to work with reform. Now that we are London's fastest growing political movement, would you like to reconsider that advice?
Well, I think I had some disagreement from the progressive wing of the Assembly. Can I congratulate him? He's had a 100% increase in which is a metaphor for what's happening amongst voters, I suspect, across London. But look, I think what's really important is to just go back to what I said in my opening about the ability of parties to work cross-party, which was demonstrated on Monday in the anniversary, the 25th anniversary. I mean, now he has got somebody to second his motion. If it's passed, of course, I'll be more than happy to look at any motion that's passed.
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Assembly Member Garrett.
Morning. So when you're does my microphone gone funny? Is that better?
I think.
Yeah. When you're thinking about what savings you might be looking to make in your budget next year, one of the things I would urge you not to consider would be some scheme of compensation for private hire vehicle drivers who have been extremely badly treated. I'm sure you're aware that this has been going on now for maybe a year, where TfL introduced a scheme where private hire drivers, or minicab drivers, have to be not only licensed, obviously, as a driver, but to be able to drive as a minicab driver. TfL introduced this system, and with a renewal process, which is a perfectly reasonable thing to want to do to make sure they're fit and proper people to do that important job, but then completely let those people down by failing to renew. There's an enormous backlog. I mean, even the most recent update we had was 2 days ago. There's still over 400 people whose license to drive a PHV vehicle has expired, and it's just sitting with TfL to process. And this is putting people in a position of almost destitution, because they're still on the hook to pay for the leasing costs and all the fixed costs of having the car, which they are then not legally allowed to use entirely because of TfL. What I would urge you to consider when you're looking at the pressures on your budget is that there should be this year or next year some form of compensation for those drivers who've been extremely badly treated by TfL through no fault of their own?
Well, Chair, I'm not sure if there's a word he said I disagree with in terms of the importance of using public money sensibly, but also recognising the wrong done to these individuals and, by extension, their families through no fault of their own. And as he said, for the best of intentions, TfL sought to change the system, plus there was a cyber attack. But he's right, drivers are being let down, so I can give him that reassurance. And can I, again, thank the way he said what he said, both the substance and the way he said it.
Give me the reassurance that there will be a compensation scheme for those drivers.
I beg your pardon, sorry. I can give that reassurance. I think I've given the assurance in the past, and I've got a detailed answer which I'll send him in writing because of time reasons because he's got a question later on about the steps TfL have taken and what they will seek to do in relation to addressing the compensation which some PHV drivers deserve for the reasons he set out.
So is there a timeline on when we might see that compensation?
I would hope by the end of this year we'll be able to set out the details. The priority I've said to TfL is sort the licences out in the backlog, so it's the same human beings that have been involved in the compensation. He'll appreciate that probably more value in the short term. The focus is that, and so once we think we're in a better position with that, I think it's a 10-day turnaround now, I can give him the guarantee that those same officers will be looking into a compensation scheme to address the points he's made.
By the end of this year?
I'd hope so.
Great. Thank you very much. Thanks, Chair.
Assembly Member Georgiou.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. I hope you're well, and apologise for my voice. I always get overly excited when I see you, and my voice does all sorts of things when I'm near you. But Mr. Mayor, talking of budget savings, for the last 9 years, all you've done is moan and whine and say that it's always someone else's fault for the things that you have to do. But possibly one of the budget savings you could have made was the cost of your Africa trip, which cost the taxpayer £83,000. You took an entourage of 11 staff to South Africa alone. Can you explain, by the way, this was on business class, so good for you. I hope they took care of you.